Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to close the door a little bit so we don't interrupt. I asked the president of ACS, Marina, to come and talk to it with us one more time about a special topic. It turns out that since this class is counting as a first-year experience course, I actually have a little bit of money to host an event or do whatever I want to with that involves all of you all. And so I would like for us to have a conversation with the ACS and see what it is that we might like to do as a group with them. And I can buy food, I can't buy alcohol, but I can buy food, I can buy waters. Many of you are not even old enough to drink, so there's that. But I thought I would just open it up and I want you all to have some input on this. You know, what kind of an event might you like to have that would involve the ACS student affiliates, and then I could figure out how to spend the $500 that I've got. You want to add anything, Marie?
I think you pretty much covered it. I don't really know what you guys would prefer. Would you prefer something that's more kind of like feedback from other people in the major, like some kind of event where you can kind of interact with other people and see what they're doing in their degree, kind of like what classes they're taking, what experiences they've been looking out for, and we can do something with that, like more of a get-together kind of thing? Or if you would prefer something more in the realm of like professional development, like something where we could provide you with, you know, some kind of substantial resources, then we could put the money towards that. So what would you guys prefer?
Yeah.
I'd like to get together. That seems interesting.
You'd like to get together? Okay. Any other thoughts? I'm patient, I can wait. What would you like to get out of such an event? What would you like for there to be at the event? Would you like the event to be here? Would you like the event to be, you know, in the evening and during the day? What kind of things? So if you were planning a party, what would you plan? There's no bad ideas, just better. There's good and better.
I'd say here in the evening. That seems easiest.
Here in the evening? Okay. Yeah?
I'd say like during this class period.
During this class period?
Yeah, that's here in the evening.
Oh. Okay.
Somebody wants to get the practice.
Somebody wants it to be, okay.
A contained event.
Yeah. Well, that's a possibility. I mean, I'm not going to say no to it.
I mean, I'll say for sure, like when I was a freshman, from the perspective that I have now, I think an event where I could have heard from people, like seeing what they did in their degree and like when they got into their research labs, how they went about that, kind of like what opportunities they were on the lookout for, because as you get further and further into your major, you start realizing like, oh, there's this thing that I could have done that I didn't know about, and now it's too late. So I feel like it would be a really great thing to kind of get together and talk like you suggested. So.
You'd like it to be a class period time.
Well, like, just like starting at 3, maybe like it could go further after that, but like a time that like during this time.
Yeah, because you know you got to be here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, like not the weekend, because I like work.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair.
No weekend.
Saturdays.
Yeah, no Saturdays.
Okay. What does everybody think about that?
That's fair enough to me.
Sounds good.
Yay.
Well, what would you like there to be? Would you like it just to be students? Would you like there to be faculty involved? Would you like the staff to be involved? Would you like the whole unit to be involved? Yeah.
I think hearing from the faculty would help with the opportunity, especially because the students like may not know of some yet. Like the faculty's gonna know them maybe better.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah,
they're
maybe we can get to meet some faculty that we might, be under in the future.
Mhm.
Okay. Would you like it to be, how formal would you like it to be?
Not formal.
Not formal at all? Okay. So maybe if we could get faculty to maybe put up a poster, and you can see kind of what they're working on, and chat with anybody you wanted to, and
That's a great idea.
we can do it in here and out there and have a, okay,
Kind of like a mini conference.
kind of like a mini 108 conference. Okay. What else? What kind of stuff do you want for $500? I'm not giving out money to you all, I can't do that, but. Food? What kind of food? Any kind of food?
Cater canes or something.
Okay, yeah, there's limits to what I can
I
buy.
was gonna say, Karen Canes might be a little bit more than that.
We are limited to being able to spend that money through the university food services, so there is that, so.
So Chick-fil-A would work?
Chick-fil-A might work, Subway might work, Aramark could work, just depends on what we want. Moe's? I don't like our Moe's.
Panda Express.
Pardon?
Panda Express.
Panda Express, maybe.
Let's have like a little, like.
Have our own
express
little
bar.
buffet?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
I don't know if I can do that for
I was
$500.
gonna say, I don't know about a little bar, that's crazy. Party on the 4th floor of Tech, guys.
What else? Is it something that you all would stick around for and get something out of? And okay.
Do you think we could get grad students maybe? I feel like that would be good, since a lot of the time if you work in a research lab, you work under a grad student.
Yeah, we can invite both the faculty and the grads. I mean, we can have we can have it all. Floor party. How about that? We can have a chemistry 108 floor party. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Also like the faculty that you do invite, like, can you invite people that, or like the faculty that have like research projects going on right now, like to talk about that and like what they do and everything like that to give more opportunity to apply for that.
Okay. All right, we can think about that. Anybody have a name for this event?
I like the floor party.
That's
The
what
floor
I
party?
was about to say that.
Fourth
Tech
floor
fourth.
party? Tech fourth?
Somebody presses the wrong button on the elevator, they're gonna be really confused.
So, let's talk a little bit about time. How much time do you think ACS would need to plan this, and who would be in charge of helping plan, and who would we have in here that would, anybody in here already join ACS? Okay, so maybe we have some liaisons that could help plan this on behalf of the class? Okay. So when would you be thinking about hosting this? We gotta at least give a couple weeks' notice.
For sure. I think maybe mid to late October, do you think?
Where y'all
Would that
think?
work? Mid to late October? I don't want to do it too close to midterms, for my own sake and yours as well.
Yeah, that would just,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, so maybe late October. That's usually after most of the midterms are done. Does that sound good?
We can do it the Wednesday before Halloween. Halloween's on Friday, right?
Yes. Let me check the calendars.
So y'all could dress up.
That would be awesome. Yes, Halloween's on a Friday, so we could do it that Wednesday,
Okay.
the 29th. maybe.
We'll need to check. I will need to check. Well, I say I. This is your party. So we need to check to see what else might be going on. Make sure we'll need to get with Sharon and Diane.
Yes, it's-
And we'll need to talk about that. We've got a budget to work with. If it goes over a little bit, I might be able to throw in a little extra money to make that work. So, what else y'all thinking about here?
Cookies.
Cookies? You want the cookies? Which ones? The chocolate chip cookies?
I'll eat any cookie.
Really anything?
So true. Me too. Me too.
Okay.
Are we thinking like for drinks? Do we? Oh, sorry.
There should be like an option to bring food, like to make someone bring it.
An option, so make a little potluck kind of thing to it?
Yeah.
And
Like party foods or like actual?
The tailgate.
Halloween tailgate on the 4th floor.
I like it. I think it's a great idea.
Anybody have ChatGPT open right now?
One of
Let's get
y'all's
to
gotta
see
have
what,
it.
it might-
Statistically, someone's gotta have it.
Somebody's got to have it open. So feed it a prompt about
I mean,
a chemistry party right before Halloween for undergraduate students. What would be a name for such an event?
I don't know that I want ChatGPT coming up.
We'll see what it comes up with.
He's gonna make up a word.
That's all right. You know what? Make T-shirts and sell them. There's your next fundraiser.
Yay!
It's just giving me ideas. Spectacular Science Bash.
Spooktacular.
Oh yeah, that'll get people excited.
It's got to be chemistry themed. I
Hmm.
mean, science, I guess.
Let's think.
Let's see. The Haunted Lab.
The haunted lab.
These aren't very good. Yeah, I don't really like any of these.
You don't like any of those?
I feel like you could get elements to spell out Halloween or something.
Okay. All right. Well, what I will do, so I do not have our homework up, the notebook reflection, it won't open up at 4 o'clock because I didn't get around to getting that uploaded yet, so it'll be later this evening when that gets up. I will put one of the questions this week will be to provide an idea for our 4th floor block party. 4th floor. Oh, block, it could be like the D block. Or the
Oh, wait, that's cute. That's cute.
Yeah.
Dr. Wallace will be happy about that, the D block.
Oh, well, then we can't do that, if not, it's gonna make Dr. Wallace. Can't make Dr. Wallace. I'm good at not making Dr. Wallace. I'm joking. Good decision. Does this sound like something good? Huh? All right. Well, when's the next ACS student affiliates meeting?
It's actually tomorrow. It's tomorrow at 6 p.m. in here, so you can't get lost.
Okay, so just reminder, we've got activities assignments, right? So if you attend tomorrow, you can count that as the second one if you haven't already attended one, okay? If you missed the activities 1 assignment, you can attend that one and I'll count it as your first one with a small penalty. And so keep that in mind.
Was yesterday's Rayborn lecture count?
It can count as a second one if you have the form filled out and everything, yep. I would count that. I did not get a chance to go to that one. Was it good?
Oh, it was good. I liked it.
Good. Glad to hear it. So we're going to put it on the agenda for tomorrow to discuss an event.
Definitely. Also, the meeting tomorrow is about research, so it sounds like a lot of you guys are interested in that. So Dr. Pigza will be there to talk about her research lab as well as other research labs on campus. So if you want to learn more about that and how to reach out to professors and opportunities kind of in that area, and also just like sub-disciplines of chemistry that you might not have heard yet. Yeah, it'll be a great thing to attend.
Thank you for coming, and
Thank
it
you
sounds
for
like we got the plans for something in about a month.
Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
good deal.
Awesome. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day. Thank you. Bye, Dr. Masterson.
Bye, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so back to the serious stuff. What were we talking about last week? We were talking about ethics, right? What did we take away from that conversation, other than be ethical?
Professional ethics are different than just general world ethics.
Okay, yeah, there's a code of conduct, right? And I think you all found the ACS code of conduct, which we kind of consider ethics. You had something?
No, that's what I was gonna say about that ethics.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Ethics depends on the situation.
Situational ethics, yeah, there's definitely some of that. Context of it.
If you like really think about what you're wanting to do and like how you're gonna do it and what could happen out like from that, just to try and think the whole process before you really start.
Okay, good. What else? We talked about different types of economies, right? We think about the goods economy, it's what we exchange money for. What was the other one that was talked about? What did the author talk about? There's another kind of economy that academics typically, their products end up in. There's the goods economy. I want to buy a bottle of Coke. I give you $2, you give me the bottle. That's an exchange, right? Goods for money. But then there was the gift economy. What was the gift economy? We all participate in the gift economy. How do we participate in the gift economy? As academics, how do we participate in that? What does a gift mean? Go ahead.
We can publish our articles so that everybody else can see them.
That's right, yeah. So we learn new things and we are willing to share them, right? And it's not that we're just giving that away, right? We're giving it away and other people are consuming it and advancing society in some form or fashion, right? We are all recipients of the gift economy. What gifts have you all received? I don't want you all to answer that. But I mean, you all have received all kinds of gifts, right? You all are receiving gifts in every class that you're in. The information that you're learning, somebody had to figure that stuff out. And now, if we ignore your tuition, we're kind of giving that to you, right? And so there is this gift economy. You can go to the library, right? You can walk into pretty much any public library, and you can access the gift economy and learn whatever it is that you're interested in learning and moving forward. And so one of the things that came out of Chemical and Engineering News this last go-round was this idea, or this thing that happened in India about limiting access to Sci-Hub. How many of you in here know what Sci-Hub is? Have you seen a hand go up? You kind of know what it is? What is it?
It's like that, I forget what it's called, but it's a website where you can access, like, I think it was 94% of all scientific journals and articles.
Yep.
The database.
It is a database. Why would I include this after a conversation about ethics?
Because some of those weren't supposed to be, like, available and accessed by everybody. Like, they were on private things that people had to pay for, and they were pirated. That's unethical. It's still somebody's work off of the site that you had to pay to be on.
Okay.
They were,
He had.
no, that's what I was.
That's what you were going to say?
I was gonna say they were accessed by unethical means.
By unethical means, that is exactly right.
I'd say it's twofold, though it was accessed by unethical means. The privatizing of such useful information is kind of also unethical. Like, they have a right to keep their information, their research private, but ethically, the right thing to do would be to publish it for everyone to see and everyone to repeat.
Okay. What are the deep questions here? Why is it that Sci-Hub came into existence?
Because pirating is fun.
Because pirating is fun. Okay.
Because they think all knowledge should be free.
They think all knowledge should be free. I'm going to tell you something that you all may or may not agree with at this point in your life, but you will agree with me at some point. Ain't nothing free. Free does not exist. There is a cost to be paid for everything. Doesn't necessarily mean it's money, but it can be time, it can be effort, it can be whatever. Everything costs. Anytime somebody tells you it's free, don't believe that, right? I'll tell you a little story that would probably embarrass my wife, so I'm definitely going to tell it. We took a family vacation to Disney one year. It was an impromptu thing. We just left and went. Didn't have really any plans when we got there. And when we got to the hotel, the gentleman kind of cornered my wife and he said, you know, I can get you free tickets to Disney. And all you got to do is 30 minutes. 30 minutes of your time. You just go and listen to this thing about a timeshare. That's all it's going to take. I can get you 4 free tickets. Well, that was back when we had little ones. We had a lot of bills. You know, free sounds good, right? It turns out it wasn't 30 minutes. It was from 8 a.m. to about 1 p.m. that day that we were stuck and you couldn't get out. So I would have much rather shelled out the money for the Disney tickets than anything else. So nothing's free, right? Yes, I didn't have to give money for those tickets, but I exchanged essentially 5 hours of time that we could have been as a family in Disney listening to about a timeshare that I had no interest in. Right, and so nothing is free. What are some of the other ethical questions about what's going on here, right? How many people, and show me your hands, how many people think that all information should be freely available? What do we mean by that? What does it mean to be freely available? Yeah,
Anyone can access it.
anyone can access. We're talking about access, right?
Not locked behind a paywall.
Not locked behind a paywall. What else? How does that happen? How do you do that?
Libraries?
Hmm?
Libraries?
But libraries actually have to subscribe to these things. Our library spends millions of dollars a year on the subscriptions that you all want, or that your programs say that they need. Back when I was in college, most things were in print format. So it was in print, it was on the shelf, you paid for it once and it was there. And if they went, oh, nobody's really using that, we're gonna stop it, they still had the print. You know what happens today? Today you go off and you buy a subscription to something, and let's say it doesn't get used and all of a sudden you cancel your subscription, you technically lose access to all of it. Is that right? Is that right? No? Yeah.
It would be a problem with the communism.
It would be what?
It wouldn't be a problem with the communism.
It would be a problem with communism? Okay. What else? Even in communist countries, they got paid for them.
Yeah, they have
You
taxes.
have to give all your info to the government. So I mean, it's all
You're paying,
all.
technically you're still paying, you're just paying in a different way.
Paying in a different way, that's right.
Your tax dollars would.
Well, you don't really get taxes. They give you the money. Like it's a fixed.
So let
income.
me ask you all this. How many of you, and I don't really want you to raise your hand, this is just metaphorically speaking, have an issue with pirating something like going and seeing a research article? Right? What does it hurt to go on Sci-Hub and download a research article that we don't have access to here at Southern Miss? What does it hurt?
Well, somebody wrote that paper, and chances are that's like they get money from that when you download the subscription. Maybe not a lot, but at least some. And if they're research, like if it's a research project, yes, they get money for the research, but maybe that's their job and they don't get much else.
Okay. I think you're on the right track there. It is somebody's intellectual property. When I write a paper, I keep the intellectual property, well, the institution does. They keep the intellectual property. But I turn over the copyright property to that publisher. So I write a paper, they accept it, it gets published, I sign over the copyright. They own the copyright. I don't. Which means that the ability to distribute it becomes theirs. That's how we're getting out my information, right? So if you all decided to, I don't know, publish a piece of music and all of a sudden you found out that people were pirating it and not giving you your 25 cents per play, would that make you upset?
It's how much money I'm making.
25 cents per play on a very popular piece of music, that's a lot of money. Adds up real quick. Right? And I just made it 25 cents, I don't know what it really is. But there's royalties associated with this kind of stuff, right? And so, if you spent your time and effort developing something and then you found out somebody was just stealing it, right? Does that make you happy?
I wouldn't care.
Did it make you happy?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't care? You wouldn't care to get your money?
No.
Okay.
It all depends.
Most people would though.
Depends on the situation that you're in.
Depends on the person.
Okay. The point being, in general, most scientists think that our research should be freely available. The problem is, how do you make that work? Sci-Hub decided to go and steal it and post it and take a stand. Right? But is that the right stand? Is it ethical? Do two wrongs make a right? Two lefts might make a right, but not two wrongs, right? Right?
Two lefts just
Isn't it just three?
two lefts. I don't know.
Depends on how big your left is. So what should we do? Ethically, what should we do? If we all agree that this research should be freely available, what should we do as a society to ensure that there is open access to this kind of work?
It mentioned in the article that their government was dedicating money towards like a national library.
Mm-hmm.
We could do something like that. I mean, it's still gonna cost us money in the form of tax dollars, but it's, you know, you don't have to individually go and pay a subscription that you would be more worried about than, you know, just paying your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could do something like that, and that would make it better.
Okay. We do have the Library of Congress.
We have that, and we have a few other things here too.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the specifics.
No, that's perfectly good.
I think the issue comes with the fact that our world is a monetary world, and scientific ambitions and advancements are not completely compatible with a monetary world, because all science to be published has to, you know, make money to be published, and to be researched into requires money. It has to make money in order for people to, you know, fund the kind of thing, which creates the entire issue.
Turns out there's no right or wrong answer as far as I'm concerned with this. They're just ethical dilemmas. I do know what theft is, and I do know that this is theft. And I do know that I've had graduate students in the past that said, well, we didn't have access to this, so I got to do Sci-Hub. And I've kind of slapped their hands for that. Do not do that, right? It's unethical. However, we don't have access to it. We need access to it. What can we do to get access to it?
Go on Sci-Hub.
Well, besides that, how can we do it ethically? How can we do it ethically? We can't pay for it, right? I can, you know, but I go to the article and it's like $50 for this article for 24 hours of access, right? Well, yeah, I could do that. That's cheaper than a year's subscription, and maybe the library will work with me on those kinds of things. When they don't have it, they'll help pay that cost, right? We can talk about those types of models. What else can we do? Anybody ever use interlibrary loan? Turns out that we actually have this thing called interlibrary loan, where a library that has something that we don't have, they will actually get it to you. There is a part of the copyright law that has a fair use clause, that you can make certain amounts of photocopies and sharing things for free, for fair use. Sci-Hub was trying to make the argument, well, it's fair use. Is it fair use to take everything? No, right? If we're talking about a journal, we're taking a few pages out of that journal because you need access to it. That's one thing, right?
They were stretching.
But they were stretching. Sci-Hub has been shut down and opened back up and shut down and opened back up so many times. It really is a pirate situation. There's actually a video on YouTube, the entire kind of little documentary on Sci-Hub, and it's interviewing the person who created Sci-Hub and their thoughts. It kind of came out of Russia.
It's like
Built
the
this up.
Silicon Road of science.
It's communism in a way, yeah. What else?
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley? Yeah.
The website, not
What else can we do? What could we do? If we had to propose to a politician today, here's what we need you all to start thinking about in a way to make this information more readily available? Because I think everybody would agree, the more readily available it is, the more people will read it, the more people that read it, the more it sparks ideas. The more ideas that get sparked, right? The more products we get, the more healthcare we get, the more yada, 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 yada we get, right? I think most people tend to agree with that, right? But how do we make that work when I've got to have an editor that gets paid? We have printing costs, we have servers that have to be maintained, we have library space that has to be maintained, we have to hire librarians, we have to hire copy editors.
Websites like that could run advertisements. You watch a 30-second ad and you get access to the article. There's already sites like that.
There are
That's
sites
That's
like
one way
that.
to do it.
That is one way to do it, and there are definitely places that have made these partnerships to do that kind of work.
That way they're not just, stealing all the data that some, unknown professor put out there. They can actually pay them for what they did.
Okay.
I think that's right.
But with the advertisement thing, there's also another ethical dilemma. Is it ethical to allow other people to steal people's data?
Okay, fair enough.
Because that's what advertisements are. They steal, well, not advertisements, but like the whole system of, advertisements and targeting. They steals people's data to give people targeted ads so that they'll potentially buy something or affect their way of thinking in a way.
Yeah, that's just trade, isn't it? You give information, you get information. I mean, that's kind of how it is.
Okay. What's the take-home message here? Yeah.
In our world, like somebody's always gonna have to give something. Like we're either gonna have to give money or we're gonna have to give time. Or if we get it for free, that person who made the research or the discovery or something gave up all of their time with nothing in return. So that's really not possible for something to not, like for you to get something without getting something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the monetary world dilemma.
Okay. What else? This very seemingly simple thing, none of us in here are agreeing on what the actual outcome should be, right? It's complicated. It's a complicated issue. Your context comes into play. Ethical dilemmas are complex by nature. They're influenced by culture, expectations. They are even influenced by religious beliefs. Any number of things can impact our decisions that we make that are ethically based. It is clearly stealing, but yet we can't all agree on what the solution is to solving that particular problem, other than to say, don't steal. Right? Don't steal. Right? That's one of those things. So, I can tell you right now that our library every year struggles with this concept. How do we make sure that we have enough resources available for people to learn and study and do the research that they need to do without charging students 3 or 4 times the tuition? Right? And so our library does a lot of things to try to circumvent that. We get involved in consortia. We are a part of a consortia of libraries within Mississippi that we have agreed if a library has something that we don't have, that they will exchange that with us for a period of time for free. Or at no additional cost other than like shipping or whatever, right? That's one way to do it, right? The other way to think about it too is how is it that we're funding this work to be done in the first place? Some people argue that research grants should include money for the publication of this information so that you can pay to put it on open access platforms. The National Institutes of Health requires that you make your results publicly available. There are laws that have gone into effect to do that. And so a journal, if it's funded by the NIH, will have a certain period of time that they can quote unquote embargo it and you have to pay for it, but after that it has to be available through the NIH freely, right? So there's these public-private partnerships that are occurring. Right now, the American Chemical Society has what's called the gold publishing process. I forget all the details of it. But as an author, if I wanted to make my publication freely available to anybody, I have to pay a fee of at least $1,000. to make that freely available. Well, do you think that's gonna come out of my pocket? So I go and I ask my department chair, I say, will you pay the $1,000? What do you think he's gonna say? Well, if I go to our library and say, well, will you pay that? What do you think they're gonna tell me? I gotta pay it. So how am I gonna pay it? Right, either it's gonna come out of my pocket, or it's gonna come out of my research grant. So I actually write into my research grants, when I write them now, money for open access publishing. That's a legitimate expense, right? But what does that mean? Do you think the National Science Foundation all of a sudden decided to give me thousands more dollars just so I could do that? No. They still say, you still get the same amount of money, you're just not dedicating some of that to publishing, which means that I'm not dedicating that money to a student's salary or to supplies and equipment, whatever the case may be. The take-home message here, though, is that these are actually fairly complex ethical dilemmas. There's no clear right or wrong answer. There's just, there we go. All right, I put in the Canvas shell, an introduction to a book that I found very transformative to me. That book is called The Checklist Manifesto. It's been on the market for quite a while now, over 15 years, I think. Okay? What can you tell me about the introduction? What stuck out to you?
It's pretty gruesome.
Pretty gruesome? What kind of person wrote this book? It was a physician. His name is Atul Gawande. You may have actually seen him on CNN sometimes. He's been interviewed a number of times for a variety of reasons.
I mean, it's gruesome, but it shows the truth of what happens if you can mess up or not realize something right away. Like most of you are going to the medical fields. That's very, it's possible. But I mean, it was a good message. Experience helps because you realize these things.
Let me tell you something. I'll get to you in just a second. Let me tell you something. If you all go into the medical field, by the time you finish your career, you will have killed somebody. Not intentionally, but you will have made a mistake at some point. Somebody will die. We're human. We make mistakes. You will be in a profession where a mistake can be deadly. I firmly believe, although I don't have the data for it, so there's that caveat, there is no such thing as a physician who has not led to the premature death of one of their patients at some point in their career. That's why they have insurance, and that's why that insurance costs a lot of money. But they are human. It didn't mean that they intended to kill anybody, right? So what was the take home of this? Right? How can we minimize that? You know, the world's worst people for this type of thing are really smart people because we think we're smart and we don't think we need to pay attention to the little details, right? So, tell me a little bit more about it.
It is a checklist.
Checklist, yeah, that's the name of the book, Checklist Manifesto, right? So, checklists have a very important part here. What else? Yeah.
I like when he was talking about it, and then he was talking about how there's like a level of understanding that we just like as humanity have. And he talks about how even though you can go through the checklist in like a super short amount of time and get to a point where you could save a person, you still are gonna make mistakes, and it's because there's so much science and just knowledge that we can't comprehend.
Yep. What else? What else did you take?
I think the takeaway was the importance of the ability to one, ask questions from people, even though they might not be as qualified as you, to ask questions, and to be open to answers from other people in these fields.
I highly recommend this book for every one of you to read at some point. It's a very enjoyable read. It's not always as gruesome as that, okay? But I think it highlights what you all can expect to get yourself into if you're going into the medical field. But it's also important for us as chemists. Where have we already talked about a checklist and I just didn't use that word?
Code of conduct.
Code of conduct could be a checklist. The scientific method is a checklist by which we go through to ensure that we have done the right things to come to a conclusion, right? Doesn't mean we necessarily come. You will go through a variety of checklists in your life and still make the wrong decision. But that checklist will help guide us through that, right? So I think that's very important. This was a transformative book for me. And I highly recommend that you all read it. And so in my work on a daily basis in the world that I'm in now, I try to reduce all of our processes down to a checklist as a result of reading this book. We used to do processes all the time where we'd say, well, they need to get us this. And then you start getting questions from everyone, well, what does that mean that you have to do before? So you have to figure out all the steps before to get to the final product, right? And so if you can reduce it to a checklist, that's fine. How can you all use checklists? Give me some examples of how you can incorporate checklists into being a student. Homework. Okay. So you might not call it a checklist, you might call it a what? A to-do list. A to-do list is a checklist. Do you have a?
No, she said yeah.
Okay. How might you develop a to-do list for next week? I'm starting to get into time management here, folks. How might you put together a checklist for next week? When would you start working on that, maybe?
You get out of class.
Huh?
When you finish your last class.
Okay, when you finish your last class. When's your last class?
Today?
Today? Is this the last class?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you'll have a checklist ready for starting for next week, ready to go on Monday, right?
I have
It's already
work.
done.
You have work. How can we use a checklist?
We can look at when things are due to make
Okay.
sure that we give like ourselves enough time to do it properly.
Okay, so Canvas kind of gives you a little bit of a checklist, right? It gives you things that are due, and on the side there, you can see when things are coming due, right? So we kind of are building these things in. What else can we do for a checklist?
Put down your most important things you need to get done first.
Okay, we can prioritize that list, right? Certainly, that's an important thing. Develop a checklist and then prioritize it. What else? How many of you in here have used checklists? How have you used them? And what have you used them for?
Pack for vacation.
Pardon?
Pack for vacation.
Pack for vacation. You don't want to forget sunscreen and whatever else you take with you, right?
I was writing my stuff for like to move into my dorm and stuff.
I was gonna say that too.
Had a list that you went through, right? Who else? Yeah.
At work, we have a checklist for every vehicle. Before we take it out, we have to check and make sure everything's working on it.
Ah, very good. Yes. I like checklists for things like that. How many of you, when you've flown, if you've flown, have seen the pilot walking around the airplane before they get in? Yeah. Why do you think they do that? What do you think they're doing? They're doing a checklist. They're doing a check of the airplane, right? You kind of want to make sure that there's no bolts missing, right? That's what they're doing.
A lab material checklist.
A lab material checklist. Very good. What else?
Grocery list.
Grocery list. Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing.
You're going to say grocery list? If it's important and it is something that you need to get done, if you leave it in your head to remember to do it, I guarantee you will forget it. Make it important. Put it on a checklist. Another thing that is a checklist, what I use as my checklist every day, is my calendar. Before I go home every day on my calendar, I list absolutely what I must do the next day. I even put in lunch. Why do I put lunch in? Because if I don't, somebody's going to schedule time during lunch and they're going to encroach on my time. Right? It's very important that you account for your time. Time is the only commodity by which you have a finite amount and will not get any more than you're going to get. I don't care how rich you are, I don't care how poor you are, I don't care how talented you are. The sun still goes, or the earth still rotates once every 24 hours, and that's all you got for that day. And you've got to account for it. Right? And if something is important to you, you will schedule it. How many of you right now have on your Outlook calendar, or your Google calendar, whatever you use, study time listed? Okay. You should include your study time on your calendar. I put in the morning, one of the first things that I do when I get into work is I read and do things in my field without interruption. I schedule it. Why do I schedule it? Why do I want to check that off? Because it's important to me. That's right. It's on my schedule. I have dedicated this time to it, right? What else should we be including on our checklist for time? We should be including our classes. We should be including time for study and homework. What else should we be including?
Leisure.
Leisure time, absolutely. Me time, absolutely. You need to include some of that. If you put it on a list and your friends come up to you and say, hey, let's go X, and you've got something on your schedule that you have to do, you are less likely to say, sure. If it is completely open, you are more likely to say, let's go. And there's nothing wrong with saying let's go. But you also don't want let's go getting in the way of what you got to do too, right? Remember, you're paying 50 cents a minute for every class you're here. Anywhere you go, you're going to be spending more than, you're going to be spending a lot probably, right? Make sure you have all of that stuff properly prioritized. Okay? What else can we do for time management? I think a checklist, a calendar is definitely the way to go, but what other ways can we, what other ideas do y'all have for keeping track of your time? Alarms? How do you set those? In your phone? Okay, yeah. What else? How many of you have forgotten something important because it wasn't scheduled? Yeah. How do you solve that problem?
By schedule.
By schedule. Or
Planner.
planner? How many of you have a paper planner? Okay, that's interesting. How many of you prefer the paper planner to an electronic planner? I'm interested in why. Why are you interested in that paper planner?
Because if I write it down, I'm more inclined to remember it. If I put it in my phone,
So doing this means more to you than doing this?
Yeah, because I have a planner and I have sticky notes, so it's in my face all the time where I go forget to do it.
All right. Who else? Yeah.
I do not like doing work on the internet. I'd rather do it on paper. It's just something I like about putting pencil to paper.
Okay.
It helps me retain the information better. Same with notes. I have a better time writing notes on paper than typing them up.
Okay. Yeah.
It's easier for me to format. I kind of just write whatever I want.
Okay. It's easier for you to format? Okay. So is there something physically different between a Google Doc and a piece of paper for you all? Yeah. Okay. All right. I try to do more things electronic, and so I'm interested in why you all have chosen that. I would have kind of thought the opposite, because you all are probably more addicted to your phone than I am. I know my children are. Yeah.
Something else was like the schedule is really personal, and I feel like it's much easier to personalize it to like my taste and like what I actually need to do on paper than I would be able to do like on Google Docs.
Okay.
I feel like because we're on our phones so much, it makes it harder to like schedule things, because when you look at your phone, you're not looking, oh, what do I have to do for the day? You're looking at social media, Snapchat, TikTok, all this different stuff. You're not really thinking, oh, let me go check my phone for my calendar. But if it's in your face, if it's in paper, you're pulling out that planner specifically for the purpose of looking at what you have for the day.
It was bad.
Do you have some? Oh, okay. Was there somebody up here? Oh, that's fine. How many of you think that you all do a great job of planning your week out? How many of you think you can do better? Yeah, me too. What are some of the downsides of being a planner? Or are there any?
Because when my plan changes, it upsets me. I get really confused, like, what do I do now? And then I'm just in this weird position of, I do nothing now because plans change.
No, that's a very good point. And so there is time planning that I think we confuse with time management. They're related, but they're not necessarily the same thing. So on Sunday, when I go through, Sunday about, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, evening, before Sunday night football comes on, I typically open up my computer, look at my schedule for the week, and kind of fill in the holes where I need to. But there's always that one thing that happens, right? It's Monday morning, something happened, provost calls me, I need you over here to talk with the president. And it's gonna be, when the president calls, I gotta be there, right? Well, I got this, I can't just say, no, that's my personal time, So now I gotta manage my time. What does that mean? Right, exactly what you were saying. Now, how do I shift everything? I now have to make a determination of what's important, what's not. Right, do I extend my day by that 30 minutes or an hour? Well, then my wife kind of gets upset because we're supposed to leave at 5, right? So something's gotta give.
So plans need to be flexible enough to be able to yield to change.
Yeah, you gotta be able to yield to change a little bit, that's right. What else?
Sometimes you miss out on opportunities because you decide to go ahead with what you had already planned instead of being spontaneous.
Okay. Spontaneity is certainly important. How much time do you think you should devote to personal/leisure time as a student? I'm genuinely curious as to how much time you think you should devote.
I feel like you should have a couple hours a day to yourself to do what you want to do. Or you're going to have to stare at a computer and work all day.
That's fair.
I always do at least 2 hours because that gives me enough time to relax, eat, shower, and then an hour just to settle in before I go to bed.
Okay.
I stopped working at 10, and so after 10, I'm like, okay, this is my time. Now whether I go to sleep at 11 or 12, it's kind of up to me, but I give myself I'm going to work until this point, because after that point also I'm not doing productive work, I'm just staring at my computer.
Okay.
Kind of piggybacking. After classes, I go and do what I have to do, finish my work, and then once I'm done, whatever I have to do for the day, and then the rest of the time's mine.
Okay.
I think it'll change depending on how locked out your time is. Depending on what you have to do, you can give yourself more or less, and it doesn't have to be an exact time every single time.
So remember what the definition of a credit hour is? I think we talked about that before, right? A credit hour is an hour in class and about 2 hours of outside time, right? So if you're enrolled in 12 hours, that's 12 hours of butt and seat. That's 24 hours of outside of seat. You add those together, that's 36 hours. That's why we call 12 hours a full-time commitment, right? Does that mean for every class, every week, you're going to spend exactly that 2 hours for every hour? No. There's going to be, when you all did your semester by semester guide, you probably went, this is more than 2 hours of work that week, right? But for this week, you probably are going, probably not, right? So it kind of averages out over time. But nonetheless, that's what a credit hour is. And so you need to be thinking about that in terms of how you think about your schedule, how you think about keeping track of it, how you build your checklist. You got to remember, if you write it down, it's got to be important, right? And so include your free time, the time that you need to unwind. Maybe you like to watch Comedy Central. Maybe you like to watch whatever, right? Budget that time in. If we value what we budget, okay? Famous words of a former president were, don't listen to people's rhetoric, look at the budget. They budget what they truly value. You should budget your time wisely because you've only got so much of it in your life. So that's the last thing that I'll talk about today. On your note card, name, ID number on one side, and on the back, just tell me something that, I don't know, something that you need to improve on in your time management. Doesn't have to be a long writing session. And then I've got some semester guides back. Baird? Stewart? Pruitt? Ratliff? Scupian? Oh, did I get you? Oh, I'm sorry. Must have slipped in while I was. I have put on Canvas the due date for when you are to submit your revised one by email to your advisor, and me, it is October the 3rd. Please go in and look at that. You will be submitting that by email to Mr. Sullivan and myself. Okay? Not through Canvas. You too.
I have a question about my personal semester plan. So, looking at which ones I got, it's correct. So, this one right here is so we got this too, and it's also pretty well. I can't remember, that's not the course code.
No, that's physical chemistry.
So is that what
I would do that, yeah. You didn't have two.
there was one on there, I'm pretty sure. Yes, I think I just completely forgot what general inclusion.
Yeah.
I just.
So you got the first, yep.
Is that it? Is it? Okay. Sweet.
You're gonna be at Rhinoceros? I'll be there too, so.
I'll let you go. What's that play about?
It's about like a rhinoceros. Are you going to it?
No, I'm not. I just don't have time right now. I
Well,
wanted
so
to
I
do.
have to because it's full of rhinoceros, but it's like about like a rhinoceros. It's
If you'll find me afterwards, I'll sign off on the.
okay. Thank you.
So I actually So
Okay,
am I just gonna go with the project as normal?
the project.
Or not the project, like the semester,
Yeah. What'd you change?
Pre-health science, or health science.
Okay.
Doing pre-nurse science.
Okay, all right. Well, good.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna fit a lot better.
Okay. Well, yeah, just finish this class.
Okay.
Hey.
So tomorrow that ACS meeting's at 6 p.m.
Okay.
You don't have to be a member to go to that, right?
No.
Just show up.
You can just show up. Yep.
I have my chem lab tomorrow that ends at 6:45. Like, email my TA, you think he'll let me out early? Or just try to finish the lab as fast as I can?
I would just try to finish the lab as quickly as you could. Do you know what the lab is?
I haven't looked yet.
Okay.
I usually write it the night before.
Yeah, I think if you go in and you're in good shape, you might be a little late. You might want to reach out to the ACS Student Village and just tell them you might be a little late. And just show up a little, you don't have to show up exactly at 6 o'clock.
And we talked about undergraduate research a little bit yesterday. I want to do that.
Okay.
I want to get involved in actual undergraduate research.
Yep, good.
That's something that would be looking for my postgraduate.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll talk more about that in a future lecture, and then apparently this thing that we're planning will probably involve some of that too, so. You'll get exposed to it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
You have a good one.
You too.